If you thought it was bad right now, it's about to get worse. With the spoilers we've seen from Commander Masters, it's had a direct effect on reserve list sales, and the dwindling amount is something we need to talk about in today's video, and how it's going to affect collectors and investors going forward when they have a lack of faith in Wizards of the Coast. This is a very dangerous time for anyone to consider investing or speculating in Magic the Gathering products. Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here, and thanks again for hanging out with me on the channel. This comes around every once in a while where Wizards puts their foot in their mouth, but the effect it has kind of goes right across the entire pantheon of Magic the Gathering products, including the reserve list. It's not immune. The 30th anniversary showed that. It shook player belief. Now you've got a product like Commander Masters coming out that didn't meet the expectations of players so far, so it started a whole subset of conversation about what players are doing with their excess reserve list cards. And as players continue to dump that stuff on the market and try to sell off their excess, it's causing a real downward pressure on the prices to the point they're going to fall below 2020 prices at their current rate of decline. You will be able, and I've seen already, things like dual lands in the 200s for heavily played. This hasn't happened in a very long time, and this market is a reflection of that. That lack of even belief in the blue chip stock, which is, reserve list cards. That's always been like, hey, this is what they can't touch. And when they kind of touched it and a little poked at it with 30th anniversary, it just set the market off. And then they kind of got good. Lord of the Rings came around. Things were kind of humming along. But when anything goes wrong, it isn't just one thing that's affected, it's everything. And Tuesday, when that Twitch stream came out, reserve list sales went dead for a couple of days, basically, as people tried to hash out what was going on with Commander Masters and how it would relate to future products and future things. It doesn't matter if it's real or not. It is a market sentiment. It's a belief. It doesn't have to be real. It just has to be believed in. And then the real effects follow through afterwards. It's really scary to see how things can be related to each other when there's no tangible evidence to link them together. Always keep that in mind, because anyone right now who's buying reserve list cards, you've probably never seen them cheaper. It's very tempting just to dive in there and buy that stuff. And as long as you don't care what happens to your money and you realize it can go to zero, you'll decide for yourself if that's a product worth buying. If that sealed product, if that individual single card is going to get reprinted, or a reserve list card that you're just not sure about because you're like, what happens if it's not worth anything? It was pointed out to me a long time ago. You never spend more than you have. And if you're spending on something risky, realize it can go to zero. Don't believe that it's going to be your retirement fund. Enjoy what you intended to do with it. So if you're going to play Magic, buy whatever you want and have a great time. If you're speculating this is going to be for retirement, don't bet on it, but be pleasantly surprised if it happens. It's interesting. Now, we've got the top 10 video for reserve list cards. This is number 10 to number 1, and the numbers are pretty low overall because of what happened this week. And compared to last week, where we saw a surge in sales based on people really happy and trying to build combinations with Lord of the Rings, it's kind of fascinating to watch this all unfold. So I hope you guys enjoy the second half of the video. We're going from number 10 to number 1 because it's your top 10 reserve list. And guys, it's not what you expect. Starting out at number 10 this week is Brain Geyser Revised Edition with 19 sales, July 8th to the 14th of 2023. The average price is $16.19 US. The market price is $15.88, and it's €16.31 to get this card into your house. Here in Canada, a near mint copy is going to run you about $20 Canadian. Now, that is a very cheap price to get this card considering where it has been. But with the continual fall in price, I actually expect these types of cards to actually go lower and hit closer to what we saw back in 2019, which would be around $6 to $9 a card. Keep that in mind if you're a person trying to get this card. It is probably going to fall cheaper, and you can already find it cheaper if you're going for copies that are moderately played just to add to a commander deck. And you know what? I'll shill for myself at the beginning by saying if you're buying any of these things on TCG Player, please consider using my affiliate link found in the description of each and every one of my videos. You click the link, it takes you there to TCG Player, and of course, anything you buy, this channel gets a 3.5% kickback, and I appreciate everyone who takes the time to do so. I mean, it really is a great card, iconic artwork, and it's really cheap right now. Now, number 9 this week is Mudslide from Ice Age, with 20 sales this week, with only an average price of $2.46 US. The market price is $2.15, €3.03 to get this card into your house. And here in Canada, you're looking at around $4, guys. This is a great anti-creature deck card for those ground creatures and all those little goblins you hate to face off against. I've always enjoyed using it. I do use it in a commander deck now. It's janky, it's fun, and it's super cheap. Now, the number 8 card this week is Soldevi Excavations with 23 sales. It is a very low number for this card, but it's making the top 10 because a lot of the sales are low. This is the card of the channel. This is my tinfoil hat army card. If you're a member of my channel, you know I love this card, and I buy it out whenever possible. That's why you see these spikes in the market. So all hail Soldevi. Thanks for it being here. Great card, and again, the price is going to continue to fall, so the cheaper it gets, the more copies I can get. I don't care if it goes up in price, I just care that I can get my hands on some. The number 7 card this week is Political Trickery from Mirage with 24 sales this week. An average price tag of $4 US. The market is $3.62 US. €3.61 to get this card to your house. It hasn't been on a top 10 in a very long time. And as you can see, it's 1 blue, 2 generic for a sorcery card that says choose target land you control and target land an opponent controls and exchange control of those lands. Yeah, you can see where this card could mess up a lot of people. Can I just borrow your Gaia's Cradle for a minute? I just need to borrow it. Now, number 6 this week is Fork with 26 sales this week. This card is not really falling. It's kind of flatlining out. The average price tag is $40.96 US. The market price is $42.14 US. But remember, these are for near mint copies. The €19.70 near mint here in Canada, $70 for a near mint. But here's what's interesting. If you look on TCG Player, you can find moderately played copies if you just need it for a commander deck that you're building. It's going to cost you like 20 bucks. Keep that stuff in mind. There's way cheaper copies available if you're just going to be building and want to own the real card. You don't want to mess around with fakes or proxies. You want the real deal. It's still a really cheap option to go for moderately played. Now, number 5 this week is Mind Over Matter, and of course we talked about this with the One Ring. Makes perfect sense. There was a bit of a surge in the sales. 28 copies sold this week. The average price tag, again, it's falling, but it's not falling really quick enough for a lot of people, so they're kind of holding off on this one. It's got $64.24 as the average price. The market price is $44.79 US. €34.79 to get this card into your house. I mean, it's from Exodus. It's a great card. It has some playability, and there's always the chance that when Wizards of the Coast prints a new set, it breaks an old reserve list card that they don't care about anyway. So always keep that stuff at the back of your head if you're looking for it. But again, dangerous time to be investing serious money unless you don't care what happens and you think it's going to go your way. Then you'll come out on top for sure. Let's go ahead and take a look at the number 4 card this week. Now, Wheel of Fortune is from Revised Edition, 29 sales. It was on the list last week, and it continues to be bought. Now, this copy here you can see, average price $299.96 US for a near mint copy. The market is $302. It kind of upticked a smidgen, and then you got €180.17. I did mention some cheap copies, and yes, they sold right away, because when I make mention of that for local LGSs, people know where I shop, and they kind of look around and will start picking stuff up. Now, that doesn't mean you can't find moderate to heavily played copies, but you got to look around because that's what's being bought. The near mint is not what's selling. What's selling is the moderate to heavily played copies that players just want to have the real deal. Okay, when they see cards like this at a price they haven't seen for years, that's when they're going to dive in and buy the card. And this is one they're willing to say, I'm always going to use it. I don't care if it goes up or down. But some people, they're probably hedging their bets it's going to go back up. Now, the number 3 card, Conchorn, is on the list again. 32 sales this week. It's still a far cry from where we've seen in the past. The sales kind of dropped off on this one. The average price is $4.83 US. The market price, $4.52 US. €4.57 to get this card into your house. It's been a showstopper. People love buying this card. And of course, it's really cheap. But even right now, I think the cheapest copies were like $1 something lightly played on TCG Player. So if you're looking for a play set of 4, it's still under $10. It's a great buy to have around. And it has so many uses. People kind of forget how useful this card can be. Let's go ahead now and take a look at number 2. And yes, Fast Bond is still here. Now, it only has 43 sales, and this sales thing kind of really slowed down on the Tuesday as well. There were some sales on Monday, I noticed, and some local LGSs commented they got a few copies in that sold right away. So these 43 sales could have been a lot higher. I'm wondering what's going on with this card, because this is still really high sales volume. And you notice the price has not upticked, which is interesting as well. The market's not reacting to the sales of these cards, which means there must be enough on the market that everything's fine. No price have really shifted upward, which is interesting. So the average price being $15.75, that's kind of where it's been the last little while. The market price at $14.65, yep, nothing's really changed. €16.13, around $20 here in Canada. It all still levels out, even though there's been a lot of sales. Interesting to watch this stuff happen. But if it becomes unbanned, we're going to have so many discussions on this channel about tinfoil hat stuff. I can't help it. But now you've gone through this. We've gone from number 10. We're going to check out number 1 now. This was the hottest selling card this week, and it's going to throw a lot of you as a surprise. Here's Koshkin Falls. This is from Homelands. 48 sales, and it's actually one of the more expensive cards from Homelands, and I was surprised to see this on the list. 48 sales this week, market price $9.61 US, okay? The average price is $9.62, fits in very well, but let's take a look at this card. 2 black, 2 generic, enchant world, so it affects everybody. During your upkeep, tap target untapped creature you control or bury the Koshkin Falls. No creature can attack you unless its controller pays an additional 2 whenever that creature attacks. So like Mudslide, a lot of the cards of this era really slowed the game down. I don't know why this card was bought. I didn't hear anything or see anything, but I did catch the sales data as it came through. So it's interesting to see a card like this spiking up. But I want you guys to round this off by thinking, look at the prices of the cards. Look at the cards that we're selling. We're not talking tons of dual land selling, although there are private Facebook groups that are seeing sales of those cards, but not in a large enough volume to ever make a top 10 right now, even at these low numbers. We're talking 7, 8, 10, 12 type of sales for dual lands in a week, which is still considerable in value, but not in volume. We're in a wacky time right now, guys. It's going to take a while to sort this out and see how players feel about it. I know there's a lot of people out there hedging their bets on other TCG games and saying, oh, I think this will work, or these are going to be amazing. But a lot of that is speculation on value, not always the enjoyment of the game. And a lot of players I know who sold their stuff off end up coming back to Magic. It's time, and it just happens. It's like a big recycling platform. Don't sell your collection unless you are getting out for good and you know you're never coming back, because you'll regret it if you sell and you come back and the prices went up, and it's just one of those things you're like, I've done it. I've been there. I've seen friends go through it for years, guys, okay? So thanks a lot for hanging out. Bring a friend to Magic. Have a good time. I didn't even have a coffee. I have such a dry throat for some reason. I had to keep drinking water. I apologize for that. It's the way it is when you're talking a lot. I'll see you guys soon. I'll see you on the live stream tonight. We're going to have a blast. Can't wait to see you guys there. Guys, this is the end credits. You see them flying by. These are the patrons of the channel. Thanks again to each and every one of my patrons for supporting my channel and helping the success of MTG Moxman become a real thing. Thanks again, everyone who watches. You guys are amazing. A knee-jerk reaction is never good. I've seen it too many times in Magic the Gathering where friends get out only to come back later and regret everything they've sold. I just don't like that idea. I mean, somebody is going to get either really rich, Alpha Investments collecting all this stuff up, and it's going to, it is going to fund your retirement. On the other hand, though, it could all go to zero, and he loses a ton. Depends on how you look at something. Positive Petey, negative Nelly, take your pick, wherever it's going to be. For me, guys, it's a great game. If it happens to make you money, amazing. I'm not going to sell the collection I have. I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm just going to keep accumulating reserve list cards. I don't care if it goes to zero. I will continue to accumulate, but I never spend beyond my budget. And I think that's where some people got kind of dicey at times. Stay within your budget. Have a good time. Enjoy the game. Be creative. And just, can't help it. It's a great game. Guys, before we end off, if you made it to the end section, put a boomstick in the comments section. Then I know you are the ones who made it to the end. If you're new to the channel and you did it, congratulations. Most people do not make it this far.